What's up everyone, Eniola here, and welcome back to the channel. We're constantly surrounded by technology, and with it comes a whole universe of information, and unfortunately a lot of misinformation too. You've probably heard some of these, don't charge your phone overnight, or Macs can't get viruses. These ideas get passed around, repeated, and often just accepted as fact. But how much truth is actually behind them? It's easy to fall for these tech myths, especially when they sound plausible or come from someone we trust. Today we're diving deep. We're going to take some of the most common, most persistent tech myths out there and put them under the microscope. Think of this as a digital myth-busting session, where we separate the fiction from the facts, the hearsay from the hard evidence. My goal here isn't just to tell you what's true or false, but to explain the behind it, so you can navigate the tech world with a bit more clarity and confidence. So if you've ever wondered about these common tech beliefs, or if you're just curious to see some popular notions get debunked, you're in the right place. We've got a lot to cover, from smartphone batteries to online privacy, camera specs to computer security. Grab your thinking caps, maybe a notepad, because we're about to unveil some truths. Let's get into it. Alright, first up, and this is a big one, especially if you're shopping for a new smartphone, the myth that more megapixels automatically mean a better camera. The logic seems simple: more pixels should capture more detail, leading to a sharper, better image. But in the world of digital photography, and especially in the compact cameras we find in our phones, it's just not that straightforward. There are other, arguably more critical factors at play that determine the final quality of your photos. The truth is, while megapixels do contribute to the resolution of an image, they are far from the only, or even the most important ingredient for a great photo. One of the most crucial elements is sensor size. A larger sensor, even with fewer megapixels, can often outperform a smaller sensor packed with tons of tiny pixels. More light means better performance in low-light situations, less noise, and often a wider dynamic range. Then there's the lens quality. A high-quality lens will deliver sharper images, better colors, and less distortion. And finally, let's not forget image processing. So, when you're judging a camera, look at the whole package: sensor size, lens quality, image processing, and then consider megapixels as just one part of that equation. Next up is a classic: the idea that charging your phone overnight will destroy its battery. The fear is that leaving your phone plugged in for hours after it reaches 100% will overcharge the battery, leading to degradation, reduced lifespan, or even worse, safety issues. Modern smartphones and their chargers are, well, smart. Once your phone's battery reaches 100% charge, the charging circuitry inside the phone significantly reduces the current or stops it altogether. The phone isn't continuously force-feeding power into an already full battery. This prevents overcharging, which was a genuine concern with older battery chemistries like nickel-cadmium. Heat is a more significant enemy to battery health than overnight charging itself. If your phone gets excessively hot while charging, that heat can accelerate battery degradation over the long term. Many phones now even have optimized charging features that learn your routine. So, while it's true that keeping a battery at 100% charge for extended periods can put a tiny bit of stress on it, the protective measures built into modern devices make overnight charging generally safe. The convenience often outweighs the minimal potential impact. Let's talk about computer security, specifically the long-standing belief that Macs don't get viruses. This is a powerful piece of marketing lore that has persisted for years, and for a long time, there was a kernel of truth to it. Macs were significantly less targeted by malware than their Windows counterparts. However, the digital landscape has evolved, and the idea that Macs are completely immune to viruses and malware is, unfortunately, a myth. The historical perception of Mac invulnerability stemmed largely from market share. For decades, Windows PCs dominated the personal computer market, making them a much juicier target for malware creators. However, as Apple's market share has grown, Macs have become a more attractive target for cybercriminals. While macOS still has strong built-in protections, it is by no means impenetrable. The threats Macs face today are often more sophisticated than traditional viruses. So the key takeaway here is that while Macs do have a solid security architecture, they are not immune. Mac users should still practice good digital hygiene. Chapter 4. Private Browsing, the Cloak of Invisibility. The myth is that private browsing makes you invisible online. It mainly prevents your browser from saving history, cookies, and site data, useful for shopping without leaving traces. But it doesn't hide you from websites, ISPs, or networks. Websites can still see your IP address, ISPs can log your connections, it doesn't encrypt your traffic. Think of it as cleaning footprints inside your house. For more privacy, consider VPNs or Tor. Private browsing is useful but has limitations. Chapter 5. Decoding signal bars. More isn't always merrier. The common assumption is simple: more bars equal better service, faster speeds, and clearer calls. While there's certainly a correlation, the idea that the number of bars is the definitive measure of your service quality is an oversimplification. Those signal bars primarily represent the strength of the radio signal your phone is receiving from the nearest cell tower. However, signal strength is just one piece of the puzzle. You can have full bars but still experience slow data speeds or dropped calls due to network congestion. Think of the cell tower as a highway. The signal bars tell you how good your on-ramp to that highway is. But if the highway itself is jammed with traffic, your experience will be slow, regardless of how strong your individual signal is. Another aspect is the type of network technology being used, and the specific frequency band. The bars don't always differentiate this nuance clearly. Furthermore, the quality of the signal, not just its strength, matters. So while signal bars are a useful quick indicator, don't take them as gospel. Chapter 6, Incognito Uncovered, What It Really Hides and What It Doesn't. The myth is that incognito mode makes your browsing completely secret and hidden from everyone. Incognito mode primarily prevents Chrome from saving your browsing activity locally on your device. This means your browsing history, cookies and site data, and information you enter in forms won't be stored by Chrome once you close all incognito windows. However, incognito mode does not hide your browsing activity from the websites you visit. Those websites can still log your IP address and track your activity. Your internet service provider, ISP, can still see all the websites you visit. Similarly, if you're using a work or school network, the network administrators may have systems in place to monitor internet activity. Google itself is quite clear about this on the Incognito new tab page. Incognito mode is not a tool for true online anonymity or comprehensive privacy. It's a feature for local device-level privacy. This one is a habit for many smartphone users, constantly swiping away and closing apps from the recent app screen, believing it saves battery life and speeds up the phone. The logic seems intuitive. If an app isn't running in the background, it can't be using resources, right? However, for modern mobile operating systems like iOS and Android, this practice is often unnecessary and can sometimes even be counterproductive. Modern operating systems are designed to manage background apps very efficiently. When you switch away from an app, it doesn't usually continue running at full steam in the background. Instead, the OS typically puts it into a suspended or cached state. Force quitting apps all the time can actually have a negative impact on your battery life and performance. The next time you open that app, your phone has to load it from scratch. This process of launching an app from a cold start consumes more CPU cycles, and therefore more battery power. Now there are exceptions if an app is genuinely misbehaving, but routinely swiping away all your apps as a preventative measure, that's largely a myth. Chapter 8, Charging and Using the Multitasking Myth. Here's another phone-related myth, the idea that you shouldn't use your phone while it's charging. Some people believe this can damage the battery, slow down charging, or even pose a safety risk. For the most part, with modern, well-made devices and chargers, using your phone while it's plugged in is generally safe. Modern smartphones are designed to handle simultaneous charging and usage. The power management circuitry within the phone is sophisticated enough to distribute power appropriately. The primary concern that has some validity is heat. Using your phone, especially for intensive tasks, generates heat. Combining these two activities can indeed make your phone warmer. However, your phone has built-in thermal protection mechanisms. So for everyday tasks like browsing, texting, or watching videos while your phone is charging, you're generally fine. Chapter 9. Jailbreaking and Rooting Legal Lines and Risky Realities. Let's venture into the more advanced user territory with the myth surrounding jailbreaking for iOS devices and rooting for Android devices. Specifically the idea that doing either of these is illegal. In many jurisdictions, including the United States, the act of jailbreaking or rooting your phone for personal use is generally not illegal in itself. The core idea is that you own the device, and you should have the freedom to modify the software on it for your own purposes. However, while it might not be illegal, jailbreaking or rooting almost certainly voids your manufacturer's warranty. Manufacturers state that modifying the core operating system in this way can lead to instability, security vulnerabilities, or unintended behavior. Beyond legality and warranty, there are very real security and stability risks associated with jailbreaking and rooting. These processes involve bypassing the built-in security measures of the operating system. This can open up your device to malware that it would otherwise be protected from. So, the myth that jailbreaking or rooting is outright illegal is largely false for personal use in many places, but the consequences are very real. Chapter 10. The 0% fallacy battery drain before you recharge. Our final myth takes us back to batteries, specifically the belief that you need to drain your phone or laptop battery completely to 0% before recharging it to maintain its health. This advice harks back to older battery technologies, particularly nickel-cadmium or Ni-CD batteries, which suffered from a memory effect. However, the vast majority of modern portable electronics use lithium-ion or Li-ion or lithium polymer or LiPo batteries. These newer battery chemistries do not suffer from the same memory effect as NiCd batteries. Therefore, the practice of intentionally draining your lithium-ion battery to 0% before recharging is not only unnecessary but can actually be slightly detrimental to its long-term health. Lithium-ion batteries prefer partial discharges rather than deep discharges. They are happiest when kept within a certain charge range, often cited as being between 20% and 80%. Each full discharge and recharge cycle contributes to the wear and tear on the battery. So, the best practice for modern lithium-ion batteries is generally to charge them whenever it's convenient for you. The old rule of drain it dead simply doesn't apply to the tech in your pocket today. Outrow myth-busting wrap-up what we learned. That's a wrap on busting some of the biggest tech myths out there. From camera megapixels to overnight charging and max security myths. Tech evolves, and so should our understanding. Question blanket statements and dig deeper before making decisions. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. Like and subscribe for more tech truths. Thanks for watching. Peace.